I almost didn't notice her at first. It was one of those gray winter mornings when the cold seeps into your bones before you even step outside. Snow had fallen overnight, thick, quiet, and deceptive, the kind that makes everything look clean while hiding what's underneath. The grocery store was crowded, full of tired faces and fogged-up glasses. People moved slowly, shoulders hunched, hands buried deep in coat pockets. I was just there for basics: milk, bread, a few vegetables, nothing special. That's when I heard the cashier sigh. "Ma'am," she said gently, "your card been declined." The woman in front of me stiffened. She couldn't have been more than 60, though life had etched deep lines into her face. Her coat was thin for the weather, too thin, and her gloves were frayed at the fingertips. She clutched her purse like it was the only thing holding her together. I'm sorry," she whispered. "Could you try again?" The cashier did, same result. Behind me, someone shifted impatiently. Another person cleared their throat. I felt that familiar tightening in my chest, the one that comes when you see dignity slipping away in public. The woman began pulling items off the counter with trembling hands. Eggs, apples, a small bag of rice. "No," I said before I could stop myself. "It's fine, I'll pay." She turned to look at me, startled. Her eyes were pale gray, sharp despite the exhaustion in them. "You don't have to," she said. "I know," I replied, "but I want to." The total wasn't much, less than what I'd spend on coffee in a week. Still, her hands shook as if I'd handed her something priceless. "Thank you," she murmured once we stepped aside. "You didn't have to do that." I smiled, already reaching for my bags. "Take care." That should have been the end of it. But she didn't walk away. Instead, she leaned closer, so close I could smell the cold on her coat, and her voice dropped to a whisper. "When your son leaves," she said, "never touch the snow outside your house." I blinked. "What?" Her fingers closed around my wrist, not tight but urgent. "Promise me," she said, "no matter what you hear, no matter how innocent it looks." A chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the weather. I don't understand," I said. She released me and stepped back, her face suddenly blank, like she'd said nothing at all. "Just remember," she added quietly, "snow hides things." Then she turned and walked out, disappearing into the white glare beyond the glass doors. I stood there longer than I should have, replaying her words over and over. "When your son leaves, never touch the snow." It made no sense, but it stayed with me. My son, Adam, lived with me then. He was 24, freshly divorced, angry at the world and quieter than he used to be. He worked nights, slept days, and avoided conversation whenever possible. That evening, as snow continued to fall, he stood by the door pulling on his boots. "I'm heading out," he said. "Be careful," I replied automatically. He hesitated, hand on the doorknob. "I might not be back tonight." Something about the way he said it made my stomach tighten. "Where are you going?" I asked. "Out," he said shortly, "with friends." The door closed behind him before I could say more. I didn't think of the woman then. Not until later. The house felt too quiet. Around midnight, I heard something outside, a soft crunching sound like footsteps pressing into fresh snow. I moved to the window and peered out. The yard was blanketed in white, smooth, and untouched. Except for one spot. Near the back fence, the snow looked disturbed, not shoveled, not trampled, just slightly uneven, as if something beneath it had shifted. A memory surfaced uninvited. Never touch the snow outside. I laughed softly at myself, ridiculous. I was letting a stranger's odd comment get into my head. Still, I didn't go out. I went to bed instead, though sleep came in fragments. Adam didn't come home the next morning. By noon, my calls went straight to voicemail. By evening, my worry had grown teeth. When I stepped outside to bring in the mail, I noticed it again, the uneven patch of snow. Larger now, sunlight had softened the edges, revealing a faint discoloration beneath, darker than the rest. My heart began to race. I stood at the edge of the porch, keys clenched in my fist. "Don't touch it," a voice whispered. I don't know whose voice it was. I went back inside and called the police. They arrived within an hour. Two officers stepped into the yard, their boots crunching loudly. One of them paused near the patch of disturbed snow. "What's this?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "It was like that this morning." He crouched and brushed the snow aside with a gloved hand. The red came first, then the smell. I don't remember screaming, but I must have. The next thing I knew, I was sitting on the porch steps with a blanket around my shoulders, watching strangers dig into my yard. They found a shallow grave, and inside it evidence. Not my son, but something connected to him. The investigation unraveled everything. Adam hadn't been with friends that night, he'd been with someone else. A man he owed money to, money tied to things I hadn't known about, things I never imagined my quiet, brooding son could be involved in. There had been a fight. The man didn't survive it. And Adam panicked. He buried what he could in the yard, thinking the snow would hide it, thinking time would erase his mistake. He fled before morning. When the police finally found Adam 3 days later, he was halfway across the state, exhausted and hollow-eyed. He didn't deny anything. Weeks passed. The snow melted completely, leaving my yard scarred with dark earth and caution tape marks. I avoided looking at it whenever I could. One afternoon, while cleaning out my coat closet, I found the receipt from the grocery store. Same date, same time. On impulse, I went back. I asked the cashier about the woman. Her face went pale. "She comes in sometimes," she said quietly, "but she passed away last winter." I felt the room tilt. "That's not possible," I said. "I spoke to her 2 weeks ago." The cashier swallowed. "People say she warns others, especially mothers." "Warns them about what?" She hesitated. "About what snow can hide." I walked out into the cold, my breath clouding the air. For the first time, I understood. The woman didn't save me from what happened. She saved me from destroying what little truth remained. If I'd gone out that night, if I'd disturbed the snow myself, evidence might have been lost, justice might have slipped away, Adam might have run forever. Snow hides things, but it also waits. And sometimes it waits for someone to listen.